Woodfin to share his State of the City address. We're thrilled to see such a big crowd here to hear the city's top elected official. It's always a privilege to host his first State of the City address of the year. Embarking now on his third term as mayor of the city of Birmingham, Mayor Woodfin's address is given annually to the Kiwanis Club of Birmingham to help keep us informed and engaged in the progress for Birmingham as a community. I want to take just a brief moment to tell our Jewish members that we stand with you in condemning a senseless act of anti-Semitism in Jackson, Mississippi, that resulted in the torching of the Beth Israel Congregation's synagogue and the destruction of 2 Torahs, its sacred prayer scrolls. A synagogue is not just a place of worship, but the heart of Jewish life, connection, and continuity within a community. The flames also decimated the Institute of Southern Jewish Life, which had its offices in the synagogue, and it helped anchor Jewish life across the South and was an incredible resource for Jews throughout the entire South. Let us hope for a day when our houses of worship are neither torched nor bombed. Now let me invite Kiwani Leroy Abrams to the lectern to give us our invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you all please stand?
Please bow your heads with me. Oh God, our help in ages past and hope for years to come. We come to you with hearts of gratitude for the blessings that you've richly given to us. We come to you with thanksgiving for the committed community leaders and all that the organizations that they represent that are here today. We come to thank you for the food that has been prepared for our nourishment. And we come to ask you that you would enlighten and strengthen us in this session today, that we might leave committed to do more for our neighbors. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Leroy, and we want to, I just want to take a second to thank Regions for everything that it does for this community and for providing us with an awful lot of Kiwanians. If you're a Kiwanian and you work for Regions Bank, just stand up so we can say thank you, including our immediate past president, Andrew Nix. Now I'd like to invite our club secretary, Susanna Schuler, to the lectern for announcements and maybe introduction of guests.
Maybe, although there are a lot of you here today, so wonderful to see so many of you. Thank you for being here today. I guess we know who brings the crowd, so thank you, Mayor. We certainly have city council leaders, various other leaders here, and given the number of guests, we will forego introducing everybody individually, but if you wouldn't mind, if you are a member of the council, if you are in civic leadership and city government or other government, and if you're a guest today, if you would just stand for a moment, we'll just recognize all of you and thank you for being here. Wonderful. So, as we hear the mayor's state of the city, I thought it would be great on this Did You Know? As many of you know, I'm still a relative newbie. I've only lived here about 7 years. So I thought I would gather some facts. I've always got my resident historian here to keep me honest on what makes the Magic City so very unique that maybe you know, maybe you don't know. I have a relatively new anchor here who has some experience in Alabama, so maybe she already knows. Of course, as Kiwanians, we should all know that Vulcan is the largest iron statue in the world. Please don't admit if you don't know that. We do sit in Jones Valley, hopefully you know this too, where there are all the minerals needed for making steel. They exist in one spot, which was obviously a key catalyst for making us the Magic City for growth, way back when those were discovered. You might know that at one time we had a beautiful set of skyscrapers that dominated the skyline in 1911, and that then was coined the heaviest corner on earth, which is 20th Street and 1st Avenue North downtown. We are home, of course, to the amazing Rickwood Field, which is the oldest professional baseball park in the United States. So hopefully you know that too. This one I did not know, even though we sit atop Red Mountain. Not Red Mountain Park, but Red Mountain Park at 1,200 acres is bigger than Central Park. So I'll remind our Hearst Television corporate folks in New York about that on a regular basis. Our sister city is Hitachi, Japan, so we sent them a replica of Vulcan, much smaller, mind you. And if you have visited the Birmingham Botanical Gardens, you've had a chance to see the beautiful stone lanterns that Hitachi returned as a gift to us, which is wonderful. And here's another one I didn't know, but I should have figured it out looking at some of the city streets. No, it's not potholes. But up until 1953, we had a complete streetcar system. And at that time, it was second only to the size of San Francisco's streetcar system. So now you know, if you didn't know. So thank you for obliging me and the things I didn't always know. So on to what we do as Kiwanis, which is most important, which is serving our community and supporting youth through leadership. So we remind you that the Kiwanis Youth of the Year Scholarship opportunity is the way that we build generations of leaders, and the scholarship applications are now open, but time is running out. They will be open until February 6th. The Youth of the Year Scholarship is awarded to high school students who exemplify academic determination, citizenship, service, leadership, and civic dedication. And just a reminder, Kiwanians, that children, stepchildren, and grandchildren of Kiwanians of Club of Birmingham are not eligible. But if you know any other students you think might be eligible, please encourage them to apply. I have had the great honor of co-chairing this wonderful group to select the finalists, and it is so inspiring. So there are a lot of deserving young people out there. Please encourage them to apply. And lastly, would just remind you that we did launch our new membership interface called Club Runner, complete with its own app. It is a great way to connect, a great way to get to know each other, to dig deeper into the Kiwanians you may not know, like a few of them here I hadn't met yet, with a lot of time to visit with them. So please let the staff know if you're having any issues logging in, or if for some reason you are no longer receiving our weekly email, because all that is coming through Club Runner. All right, so those are the announcements, and I'll turn it back over to our President Saxon.
Did you hear that, Mr. Mayor, President Saxon? How do you like the sound of that? Do you go with that? Thank you, Susanna, for your very informative Did You Know segments. I learn something new every week. I do want to take just a moment to introduce three special guests and to congratulate them for being here. We have two of our community's new mayors, Mayor Graham Smith of Mountain Brook, if you would stand. She's with Kiwanian, and outgoing Mayor Stuart Welch. Mayor Jennifer Andrus of Homewood with her husband Kiwanian Keith Andrus. Mayor. And one other special person that we're going to hear from speak to us on February 3rd, and that is Deborah Vance. Deborah is the new president and CEO of the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. I'm on their board, and Deborah, we were very pleased when you accepted our offer. Congratulations. And in an earlier life, when she was in Birmingham as chief of staff to a previous mayor, she was a Kiwanian. So we would urge you to consider rejoining us. Now, since 1997, members of this club have had the privilege of nominating and inducting more than 150 leaders into the Birmingham Business Hall of Fame. I'd like to now call past Kiwanis Club President Nelson Bean to the lectern to share a bit more about this prestigious Hall of Fame event.
Thank you, John. And as John mentioned, we have been doing this since 1997, and it is a privilege of our Kiwanis members to be able to nominate candidates. So eligible nominees are leaders of enterprises based in the greater Birmingham area. Nominees must be retired for at least 3 years, or 65 or older if they are still active, or, hopefully not, no longer with us. Those are the criteria for nominees. Deadline to submit nominations is February 28th. You'll find the nomination link in your Thursday email, and you will also get a separate email about the Hall of Fame award. So as with anything else, Kiwanis, if you have questions, check with Honora, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Nelson, for carrying the torch for the Birmingham Business Hall of Fame. We look forward to another great class of 2026 later this summer. As I preside over this club, you know I'm a fan of alliteration, and we try to do something a little different each Tuesday. This is the second Tuesday of the month, so this is Second Tuesday Seek Out. I want you to look around the room and identify somebody you don't know. And at the end of the meeting, when I hit the bell, I want you to go over to seek out that person and introduce yourself. Don't have to ask them out on a date. Don't have to have them over for dinner. Just try to make a new friend. Seek out somebody you don't know. Now, let me introduce the folks at the head table. If you would all stand as I make the introduction and remain standing until the end. The Kiwanian providing today's invocation, Executive Vice President of Community Affairs for Regions Bank, Leroy Abrams. Vice President of the Birmingham Division of Alabama Power Company, Chair of Mayor Woodfin's 2024 Crime Commission, and fellow Kiwanian Ralph Williams. Retiring soon from his role as Division CEO for Synovus Bank, past Kiwanis Club President, Chair of the 2026 Business Hall of Fame, Nelson Bean. President General Manager of WVTM, our local NBC affiliate, and your 2025-26 Club Secretary, Susanna Schuler. Award-winning journalist and founder of C. Jane Wright, Kiwanian Javacia Bowser, and Jefferson County's top health officer, member of Mayor Woodfin's Crime Commission, Kiwanis Club board member, Dr. David Hicks. Please welcome the head table as Javacia makes her way to the lectern.
Good afternoon. Randall Woodfin is a history-making mayor. When he was sworn in as the 30th mayor of Birmingham in 2017, he made history as the youngest mayor in over a century. When he was recently elected to serve a third term, he made history with his landslide victory, garnering 75% of votes. When you're a son of Birmingham, making history is embedded in your DNA. Randall Woodfin is a history-making mayor because he was born and raised in a history-making city. He's a product of the magic that defines us, a city whose legacy of building would evolve from steel mills to startups, a city whose bold defiance and heart for justice built the blueprint for civil rights activism, a blueprint that feels even more relevant in light of current headlines. But Mayor Woodfin also understands that our future is defined by the present. So when our city faces challenges, he doesn't turn his head, he raises it. He recognizes the problems, he builds teams to develop solutions. He rewrites the narrative by doing the work. Because my husband, Edward Bowser, serves as the Deputy Communications Director for the Mayor's Office, I know Randall Woodfin not just as a politician, but as a person. I know how much he loves hip-hop and Marvel movies, and how much he enjoys doing those hilarious Christmas videos that y'all love to see on social media every December. But most importantly, I know how much he loves this city. Throughout his career, Mayor Woodfin has served in multiple roles within the city of Birmingham, but his dedication to his hometown developed long before his career in politics. It started when he was just 15 years old, working as a bagger at a local supermarket, where he learned the importance of putting people first, a concept he carried into Morehouse College, then to Cumberland School of Law, and finally into his public service career. Mayor Woodfin's love for his hometown is matched only by his love of family. His wife Kendra, sons Aubrey and Mason, and his daughters Love and Joy, who have him very sleepy today. And I believe becoming a father has deepened his love for this city. Those family values are at the heart of his cradle to career strategy, which you will learn more about today. I'm proud to call Randall Woodfin a friend. I'm proud to see him grow as a father, and I'm so excited to see how his vision continues to move our city forward. There's more history to be made here in Birmingham, and Mayor Woodfin is here to tell us how a better Birmingham starts right here in this room. After we watch a short video detailing some of our city's biggest wins in 2025, I'm honored to welcome to the podium Mayor Randall L. Woodfin.
Hey, good afternoon, Kiwanians. It's okay. I'm sleepy as well. Two notes I want to make for everybody. One is, did you know edition? I did not know that Red Mountain Park was actually, in acre size wise, bigger than Central Park. So it's a beautiful place. If you have not had a chance to visit Red Mountain Park right here in our city limits, trust me, it is worth it. The other is, John is right. I've asked John as well as Susanna to nudge me if I'm standing up here and I fall asleep. I can explain it. My youngest daughter, Joy, is 6 weeks old today, and she treats the daytime as nighttime, and she treats nighttime as daytime. And the bassinet happens to be on my side of the bed. So as I get through this today with you, and as I get through the day, wish me luck, everybody. On a serious note, last year when I joined you here, I talked about our goals for 2025. How we vowed to make public safety not just the number one, but the number two and the number three priority. How we vowed to reduce gun violence in our city. How we vowed to reduce homicides. And how we vowed to raise our police recruitment. And yes, even though I am standing up here on this podium, standing all the way up here, I heard the murmurs. I saw some of the faces. Some that included doubt. Some of you thought that Birmingham would be in the same position 365 days later related to public safety. But I am here to remind you, Kiwanians, of two undeniable facts. Two undeniable facts about this city, our city, Birmingham. We make the possible, or we make the impossible. We make the impossible possible. And we do it when we are a city united. I want to step back and thank Javacia for that amazing introduction. But one of the things she didn't share was that we believe in playing team at City Hall. And when we do that, you get the results you see here. Homicides, literally a year later, standing before you, reduced by 43%. A year later, total violent crime down 5%, which is really important. But I also want to talk about something else, which is called the clearance rate related to homicide investigations. You see, for far too long, many families were not only left with grief, but with questions and concerns about who took their loved one. Well, thanks to the leadership of the Birmingham Police Department in 2025, we saw almost a 90% clearance rate. Put another way, 9 out of 10 homicides that occurred in our city, the person responsible was arrested. That is a 31% higher rate than the year before. Police staffing at 100%. After a very aggressive, and thanks to our Birmingham City Council, who, by the way, is still in the City Council meeting, which is why you don't see them here yet. Thanks to their support of a $16 million recruitment and retention plan and campaign effort that was then led by BPD, police staffing is now at 100%. That is 268 officers hired in 2025, set by the standards of the state of Alabama as it relates to how to become an officer in this state. And even the most recent academy class to graduate was the largest in our city's history. New recruits, coupled with transfers of experienced officers from other law enforcement agencies, allowed our city to achieve full staffing. Now, this is the result of the leadership of Police Chief Michael Pickett and the dedication of the members of the Birmingham Police Department. And at this time, again, we play team at City of Birmingham. I think it's important that he stand and be acknowledged for all of his hard work. And he'll fight me later because he didn't want to be acknowledged. He literally just wants to do the work. But it wasn't just Chief Pickett and the men and women of the Birmingham Police Department. It was also the results of the input from the Birmingham Crime Commission, co-led by Ref Williams of Alabama Power, along with Lee Steislinger of Altech, who could not be here with us today, along with General A.C. Roper, who is with us today, and along with my friend and advisor who gives me guidance on how to become a better leader all the time, that's John McMahon. Along with Mr. Hicks, or Dr. Hicks that is, of the Health Department, and many others in this room and not in this room, who took time as civic leaders, as business leaders, as community leaders, for all of us to come together and say, what can we do as a collective in a community to address public safety and decrease violence in our city? I'm happy to say that as a result of the input from the Birmingham Crime Commission, which reported their research and recommendations literally a year ago, this month, we have taken this report not only seriously, we can now say 75% of their 82 recommendations are active or in development and completed. That is a big deal, and they are also to be commended, so please stand and be acknowledged as well. Those whose names I call. You know, one of those recommendations was to select a public safety coordinator. And the whole notion around that was to drive strategy, integration, and execution on behalf of the city of Birmingham, the mayor, the police department, and public partners. I'm happy to recognize Deputy Chief of Public Safety, Carlton Peoples, and you can stand as I say this, a 27-year law enforcement veteran, everybody, with his most recent stint as Special Agent in charge of FBI at Birmingham Division. I'm happy that we were able to get him in this position and steal him away for him to give of his time, commitment, and service to our city in his leadership capacity. Thank you, Deputy Chief Peoples. I thought it was important for them to not only be here, but to stand and be recognized, is because the credit doesn't belong to one person. The success I just shared didn't come by accident. The success I just mentioned did not come by accident. Our gains in public safety are the result of a unified, coordinated plan. That is the same strategy. That is the same strategy we must take in stimulating our economy, job creation, and economic development. A unified front, a coordinated plan, one vision. how we hold ourselves accountable, metrics. You see, when our streets are safer, Kiwanians, our city is more enticing to business and our economy is stronger. But we got to have an honest conversation. We've had real challenges with speaking as one and moving as one on all matters of economic development. This is everyone working economic growth in Birmingham right now. Take a look at this. Now, some of you, if you're like me, you need your glasses. This is a lot of organizations, and there's no knock to any of them. But do we have a unified front? Is there a coordinated plan? Is there one collective vision? Are we holding ourselves accountable? Are there shared metrics? These are real questions that I'm happy to tell you I've been in the trenches with various leaders in these spaces answering. We've had some wins, but we also have to be clear and honest. We want Birmingham Business Alliance and Prosper in the city of Birmingham and many of the other organizations you see here to speak with one voice, to have one plan, one vision, one shared metrics of how we move economic development and job creation forward in this city. And that's been the challenge. Were you all aware that our region has pulled together more than 50 plans over the years to address certain segments of the region or our economy? It's a lot of plans, everybody. Some that have sat on shelves and collected dust after all this money has been spent. But that's why I've been meeting with those groups and others to personally ensure economic development is a priority for all of us. So let me be clear in this moment, Kiwanians. When our backs were pushed against the wall and public safety was at its worst and homicides were at its worst in our city's history, there was a clear mandate to fix it. And not alone, but with a team approach and a unified approach. I will do everything I can as a leader of the city to do the exact same thing for economic development. This is a defining moment related to economic development and our economic identity, not only as a city, but as a region. With other mayors here, such as Mayor Smith and Mayor Anders, who I appreciate being here, and all the other mayors in Jefferson County, along with the County Commission and the Birmingham City Council, we stand united as elected officials. But it's also important. Steve Amons of BBA and J.W. Carpenter of Prosper and all the other organizations, leaders I don't have the time to name, that we come together and coalesce around how do we move economic development in this city. But here's the reason why. Central Alabama is only as strong as Birmingham is. Some of you all missed that. Central Alabama is only as strong as Birmingham is. And right now we need to be stronger. It's time to break down the silos. And it's time for all of you under the sound of my voice to get involved. So after all this work we will do this year, I will not allow any of us in this room, Kiwanians, civic leaders, corporate leaders, small business owners, entrepreneurs to sit on the sideline and or remain in your silos. Birmingham, the good news, is still driving the state's economy due to the success of our entrepreneurs. And let's also be clear, Birmingham is open for business. But as with every business decision, Kiwanians, we take calculated steps for the betterment of our clients, of our customers, and in my case, for the residents of our city. We did that when we worked hand in hand with CHIP, and we're still supporting efforts to redevelop the Caraway and Montclair hospital sites. And now we are trying to secure the next chapter of the Birmingham Southern Campus. And even when we're just playing a supportive role as a city, even when we're playing just a supportive role, projects like these take a significant toll on the city. The reality is, Kiwanians, great things are happening and we want to make sure Birmingham remains competitive in the South, not just with cities within our state. On all job opportunities, whether you're in manufacturing or in a lot of our cases, biotech related to the next venture of Birmingham's economic identity. We will continue to look for the next big opportunity, but at City Hall, we also have a very clear mandate to make sure it is done in the most equitable way it can be done. Again, they've been acknowledged, but I want to acknowledge Birmingham Prosper, and I also want to acknowledge BBA for being in the trenches with the city of Birmingham the last 2 years hashing this out. And now in 2026, we put our foot all the way down on the gas pedal and get this right for the future of our economic identity and direction. But there's another note. There's another note. Because here's the crucial thing about economic development, Kiwanians. It sets the stage for Birmingham's future. That's why we fight so hard to protect that future, to nurture that future, but mainly to uplift that future. So at this time, you know, I have to have this young man. You have to stand up the entire time I say all of this. Dr. Mark Sullivan of Birmingham City School System, everybody, the superintendent of our schools. Because as he stands, I want to remind you, Kiwanians, that not just as a candidate, but as an administration, we have this intentional tagline of putting people first, but we also have something else we talk about. 2 words: progress together. Progress together. This is what together looks like, and this is also what progress looks like. Birmingham City Schools, everyone, saw huge gains in 2025, and no, you can't sit down yet. They received their highest score on the state report card. Now look at what happened in 2022, 71. 3 years later, 77. So we talk about progress. This is a moment to recognize what progress looks like, but it's also a moment to plant a flag in the ground. And I can only use the words of the young man standing up, our superintendent, Dr. Mark Sullivan, when he says, and we will push him and support him and make sure he can reach that goal of when the next report card comes out, our school system would be at a B. That's important. That happened, this 71 to a 77 happened though, not just because of our superintendent. It happened because of principals and teachers and parents and students who showed up and did the hard work. But before he sits down, there were 15 Birmingham City schools in 2023 that had an F. That number has been reduced to 1 this year. And with the same mandate of going to a B, he has also publicly declared no schools will have an F next year, but that will also happen because of principals and teachers and students putting in the work. It is our responsibility, Kiwanians, to back him, to support him, to encourage him and uplift him and make sure he has the resources to be successful. Thank you for your hard work. The Birmingham Promise, many of you all know that's my baby. So no better way to put it. The Birmingham Promise has transformed more than 1,600 young lives and provided more than $15 million in tuition assistance. That's thanks to a genuine public-private partnership that we continue to lean on to this day. And as I declared in my inauguration speech back in November, it's important that beyond me being the mayor, this program remains, and we have to be responsible for endowing this program. Small Magic, another program that is led by our good friend, Ruth Ann Moss. That is not her name. Ruth Ann. Small Magic is our early childhood education initiative. And to explain this program, I think it's important I slow down to tell you, this program allows us to put tools in the hands of parents and caregivers at the most critical stage of their children's brain development. It helps our youngest children maximize their school readiness. In fact, it is the largest implementation of early education of education technology in our entire country. The city, supporting this program, has invested $1.75 million with more than 5,500 children served. Small Magic's work has seen increased interactive talks with these kids by 70%, y'all. 70%. And has distributed more than 15,000 books and education toys to families. And so let me take the time to say this. In our third term, our children won't just be part of the agenda. They will be the one that drives every decision we make. Now let's break that down. Our focus at this point now totally shifts to cradle to career. I want to acknowledge, while they are here, friends from the Harlem Children's Zone who are here with us, Christian Rhodes and Chris Soto. We've been partnering with them for a few years now as they take a look up under our hood of how we address, invest in, and pour into our students from a holistic approach we call cradle to career. Another way I can back this out is that, Kiwanis, some of you all may remember, I stood before you a few years back, it may be 3-4 years now, and I talked about the mother or grandmother on the porch. And as she stood on her porch and she looked out, she looked to her right, there was an abandoned home. And she looked to her left, there was an empty lot. And in front of her, her sidewalk was buckling, and when she pulled out of her driveway, the streets had potholes in them. And by the way, when she stood on that porch, she wasn't standing alone. She had a child or a grandchild, as I stated. But whether they were driving from point A to B, or in our case, too long of a distance to get to a grocery store because she didn't live in proximity of healthy food, or walking her child or grandchild down to the neighborhood park where there wasn't adequate playground equipment. But because it was getting dark, it was time to come home early because the street light didn't work. And the unfortunate part, when they did get home, time to time when she got ready to put her child or grandchild to bed, they had to drop to the ground because they heard gunshots. As you see what I just described, as you pictured it, I want to share what we've done in the last 8 years to address that. That same mother or grandmother now stands on her porch with her child or grandchild. And she looks to her right. We've removed not only that blighted structure here, but we've spent millions of your public tax dollars removing that blight. We spent a significant amount of your tax dollars not only engaging that empty lot, but others, as well as partnering with private developers to go vertical with more single-family homes on that empty lot. With the necessary investments in our public infrastructure, making sure that sidewalk is not only walkable, but bikeable for that child or that grandchild. And when she does pull out of her driveway, as you saw earlier, not just last year $15 million in street paving, but $114 million, which is more than my 3 predecessors combined that we've spent in street paving since I've been mayor, to make sure you don't hurt your tires or blow out a tire. But also continuing to support and work with the park board to make sure there's adequate playground equipment in our parks, as well as partnering with Alabama Power to have more LED lights throughout our neighborhoods, and taking thousands of guns off the streets, everyone, as well as all the news you heard earlier of making sure we can decrease crime, not only to make our city safer, but equally important, if not more importantly, to make people feel safe. As well as going through this exercise of continuing to wade through as many no's as we can to get to yes, to bring healthy food options to our residents in proximity where they live, because like you Kiwanians, some of you all live in walking or a short distance drive to get your healthy food. And through all of that I've described that we work with to improve quality of life, we focus so much on that mother and grandmother. And so what Cradle to Career now does is put us in the optimal position to make significant investments and be extremely intentional and hold ourselves accountable with a very detailed plan to invest in that child and that grandchild. Not just K through 12, which is from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. August through May. But when that child is born, what do we do? What opportunities we give from birth to 5 before they ever enter school so they can enter school at minimum of grade level? That is our responsibility. What do we do to enhance and support the continued progress the superintendent has made? That every child is at grade level and all children graduate from high school, and that there are opportunities for their social and emotional learning as well beyond academic achievement, to put them on the best path for college and career or military or becoming an entrepreneur. The investments in conflict resolution and financial literacy and mental health to support our next and youngest generation. If you've been following and paying attention to what I've said to you, Kiwanians, today, is that in this order of public safety, economic development, neither works if you don't make the necessary investments in the next generation. So again, with our partners, the Birmingham City School System, which clearly you can see I'm in lockstep and arm with our superintendent, along with his teachers and his principals and all the other stakeholders, parents, etc. With our external partners, from Birmingham Promise to Breakthrough Birmingham to HECA to Small Magic and so many others I didn't name. We have a job to do, and we will do it. And whether you are a Kiwanian, whether you are Regions Bank, Alabama Power, any other corporate organization or corporate leader or small business or entrepreneur, you will walk alongside of us. You don't have a choice because you care about Birmingham. You love Birmingham, you are invested in Birmingham, and you want the best for Birmingham. And the best for Birmingham does not work without the necessary investments of cradle to career to make sure we get the investments for the next generation right. So I thank you in advance for your support. I thank you in advance for your commitment. Thank you in advance for your financial investments, because this will be the most important public-private partnership this city has ever set its sight on. And when we do that and yield the results we need for our children and the next generation, every single thing you want to see, Kiwanians, in economic development, in job creation, in growth, in population, in quality of life, in public safety, will all work. So I thank you for your attention today. And I actually got time for questions. Who's first? Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Hey, Brooke. I do, and I share that vision with the council. And since I've been speaking, one of the counselors has had the opportunity to come in, and that is Councilor Crystal Smitherman, who I want to acknowledge, everybody. I think part of the reason why I'm also acknowledging her is because I want to acknowledge and show love and appreciation to the council for the Human Rights Commission that we now have created. I think within that work, Birmingham, Alabama, we know our history. We know how hate can push a city to its brink. And in that brink, loss of life, innocence of children, and how in that type of moment, a city has to reckon with who it wants to be and how it shows up in its identity. Not just for the external world, but for actual neighbors, literally loving thy neighbor. And so, you know, that's not meant to be fluff. I think the actual Human Rights Commission is going to do tangible hard work of uniting people, of addressing problems, hate, etc. Anti-Semitism is on a high, but as at an extreme high. But what we find at City Hall as we monitor many, many things, hate at many forms, at many various groups is at an all-time high as well. I think what we can pride ourselves on is that City Hall is not only open to everyone and welcoming everyone, how we show up as in loving thy neighbor, helping all, helping others, and doing everything we can to make sure everyone feels welcome. But something else, which I know Chief Pickett and I know Deputy Chief of Public Safety Peoples is very keen on, and you and I have had these conversations, and that is the safety of not just sites and locations and physical places, but actual people. And we will do everything we can to protect the people of the city. Who's next? Oh, I did good, John. Nobody has any questions. Ruth Ann.
Hi. I wonder right now, besides joy, what's the biggest thing that's keeping you up at night thinking about what you want to accomplish?
It's good. I mean, it's...
Say love.
Yeah, love didn't help last night as well. I mean, it's tough. It's tough having a 17-month-old and a 6-week-old. But I'm happy about it. Very happy about it. I think what keeps me up at night now is very different what kept me up at night in 2024. 2024, particularly the second half, Chief Pickett became the interim chief, and he knows this. He was probably the only person up more than I was, because he had to call me when things were not where we needed them to be in 24. In 25, the truth is, there were more nights of not being interrupted because of a phone call of a horrific homicide. I would say in this last quarter, what's kept me up is very simple. I'm standing before you in a third term as mayor. I'm doing something that hasn't been done since the late 80s with Mayor Richard Arrington. I feel that the city of Birmingham and our administration is in a inflection point. And what I mean by that, it would be real easy when you win with 75% of the vote, everybody, to just be on cruise control and do everything you've been doing as if it's perfect. I want to let you in on a little secret. I don't believe in perfection, but I do believe in getting better. I also believe in holding myself accountable, and I also believe in pushing our team. Now, Ruth Ann, I'm going somewhere with your question because it's not like a short answer. But I think it's a very important question, what keeps me up at night. And it is the direction of the city. I'm a competitor by nature, but most people don't know that. They don't see it. Maybe they only see it in 2017 and 21 and 25 when I run for mayor. But there's an internal drive to literally improve the quality of life of the city. So as you get public safety right and people start feeling safer, you can then focus on other things that keep me up at night. The economic development and economic identity and direction of the city. I don't want to have to push and drag John or anyone else on this dais or any of you Kiwanians. But I also don't want people to just have their heads in the sand knowing that things aren't moving at the direction or speed we need. And then everyone sits back and just waiting on leadership. But the other thing that keeps me up at night in an excited way is the work I am doing with you, the work I'm doing with JW, the work I'm doing with Samantha and others and Christian. I'm up at night thinking about what do we do next to make everything work for our next generation? And that's not a bad thing. By the way, I'm literally up at night, y'all. It's not like a joke. I'm up at night for real. And I've been up at night at this point 17 months, but it works. So who's next? Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you. So, in 2018, less than a year in office, I think one of the most important things we did was acknowledge that we created a complete street ordinance. I didn't do that in isolation. Led by Dr. Darrell O'Quinn, who represents District 5 on the Birmingham City Council, and his colleagues, a complete streets ordinance was passed. And that it was a more holistic approach of literally how we go about our city's grid and infrastructure. Fascinated by, I think you said up to 1953, we had a streetcar. That's the second thing on the did you know? I did not know. I knew we had a streetcar. I didn't know it was the second largest behind San Francisco. So, they don't know either, but they're not going to tell you. On a serious note, as I've looked at our grid over the last 8 years, and you all have felt it or seen it yourselves, you've seen us in a lot of our thoroughfares go from these wide streets, i.e. 20th Street as an example, to more narrow on purpose. And what happened after 1953, and definitely with the acceleration of our interstate system nationwide, you can see the transition, right? We became very car dependent, which in isolation at the time is not a problem, except we believe at City Hall you need multiple forms of mobility: walking, biking, public transportation, and cars. And when you do that, then you start to do these things such as street diets, where a street can become a mobility for everyone, not just those who actually have cars to feel safe, but for everyone else to use them. And so as we've done that work over 8 years, we now find ourselves like doubling down on that. And in how should we include high-speed rail? Does that help with economic development? Does that improve quality of life? Does that make your physical aspects of your life healthier in some of those other modes, such as walking and biking? We believe the answer is yes. And so we're weaving in a little bit of everything around mobility and transportation to improve quality of life. That's the short answer. What's next? Yes, sir.
Time for one more.
Oh, well, give it to this young man. Yes, I'm talking to you.
I know that you're a proponent of regional cooperation and you work effectively and meet with, communicate with local mayors, particularly in Jefferson County. Could you comment a little further on efforts to create real regional cooperation beyond what we have now? It's so important for the growth of our competing cities like Nashville.
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's a question that I always predict will come from a Kiwanis meeting. Where's David, by the way, everybody? David's not here?
Not that question.
He's a Rotarian. I got you. It's okay. We'll do a joint next time. But I want to get serious and answer the question. And this question deserves honesty, because I would have said prior to August of 2025, we stalled out. We probably stalled out for many reasons. There's excitement when a lot of mayors come in, and then people get in a groove with their own city and they get busy. But Mayor Anders and Smith, please help me if I am wrong in this. In 30 plus cities, how many new mayors are there in Jefferson County? 17, everyone. There is 5 women. 5 women. There is no better opportunity right now than to hit the reset button, or maybe a better way to say it, the refresh button on what regional cooperation should and can be in the city. In the middle of that speech I just gave you, I talked about economic development. And I am telling you in this room, do not care if you live in Homewood, Mountain Brook, Vestavia, Leeds, Irondale, Bessemer, Brighton, and all the other cities I do not have time to name, or Birmingham. If we do not work together, we will not grow. No one is trying to take your city away from you. And as I understand it from a historical standpoint, a lot of these cities were founded because of their school systems. No one's trying to take that from you either. But the one thing we can unite around is regional cooperation for economic development for this region. And if we do that, which I know these 17 mayors, as fresh as they are, eager as they are, ambitious as they are, I believe they're like me, and that's balanced with purpose. And if there was one purpose we could all align around, it's our economic development and growth and job creation. So, you know, as a team with the other mayors, that's what we'll focus on. Thank you, everyone, for your opportunity today. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for being with us. Thank you for leading the Magic City with dedication, with vision, with dignity. We look forward to this 3rd term. And I just want to say I'm proud to call you a friend. I'm proud to call you a fellow Kiwanian. And as a resident of the city of Birmingham, I'm proud to call you my mayor. And I hope you get some sleep. All right, a couple of quick reminders.